Hello and welcome to Buddy Chat. Today I am joined by Alice Rath, and both of us are trustees for various different charities, and today we want to chat about that. Alice, for everyone that doesn't know, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I am Alice Rath. I am a charity digital marketer, and more importantly, I am a young trustee for an amazing charity called Crohn's and Colitis UK. In short.
Amazing. How did you Crohn's is quite a big charity. How did you kind of approach that?
Ooh,
Or were you approached?
in short, I literally just applied. So I have been very fortunate in the fact that I have a lot of experience in healthcare and of all youth things. I was a patient at Great Ormond Street for 12 years,
Wow.
and I joined their youth forum. So I have a rare and an undiagnosed gastro condition. So I had lots of surgeries and I was under a lot of their different services. So it was quite a good fit that I was one of their new members for the youth forum. So I could kind of talk about being in a multidisciplinary team and how that impacted me. And then from there, that was like my intro. So I started doing work for the charity, fundraising for them. Then I went on to do the NHS Youth Forum, and I am now a governor for Great Ormond Street as well. So I had all of this in my background as well. So I think when I applied to be a trustee, they realised that I had lots of other things to offer as well, not just patient experience, but being on different panels and boards.
Yeah, I think that's probably what puts people off, is kind of potentially feeling that they're not exceptional enough. I know, like, I was looking at being a trustee kind of 10 years ago, like when I just basically finished uni and had done a few stints volunteering in different charities, and was really keen to kind of get into the sector. I knew that it was a space that I wanted to work in, and I thought actually being a trustee might be a way to help me in. And I think I must have applied for about 10 different trustee positions and I didn't get one of them.
Really?
And then it was only when I had 10 years in the sector and that I then saw this. I was like, I do want to be a trustee again. Like, I had that urge again. But I was being really picky about the organisation, that I wanted to have that kind of passion, because when you both of us work for ourselves, when you're then doing stuff for free essentially, which is, I mean, the stuff that I do for the charity for To Make It is very similar to my day-to-day. So if I'm going to do it for free, I need to be ridiculously passionate about the organisation.
Yeah, definitely. That point around being exceptional enough is really interesting. So I do think there is a barrier with people wanting to be trustees, especially with young people, feeling like they don't have enough to offer.
Yeah.
And that's where we get that imposter syndrome coming from. And then I do think, unfortunately, as well, it does come from organisations where they are potentially looking for people with previous board experience. But then
Yeah.
it's that it's like that catch-22 where it's like, well, how do you get board experience without having the opportunity? So what, like, my recommendation would be, if young people are interested, I always direct them to the Young Trustees movement. They have lots of resources, and like, my advice would be, again, find somewhere that you're interested in and just have the confidence to apply.
Yeah.
Which is very, like, I know it's not that helpful, but I had a trustee interview before Crohn's and Colitis, and they just, like, never got back to me. I never heard from them.
That's so
It
bad.
was quite bad. I think I completely forgot about them, if I'm honest, because then I heard back from Crohn's and Colitis and I was fine. But yeah, I want to see more young trustees, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Do you think one of the other barriers that I see is not really understanding what a trustee does? So you have those that understand what a trustee does, that are like, well, I haven't got enough experience to bring to a board, so I won't apply. Or when they do apply, are deemed as not having enough experience. And then you also have this big group of people who I really, especially like since lockdown and COVID, and there's been this huge growth of kind of community minded activity, whether that be in charity or just kind of doing things to help out. I do wonder if a lot of those people don't really know that trustee positions exist and that they can make an impact to a local charity themselves. I've seen so many people talking about, oh, I'm going to start doing this for my community, like especially in response to free school meals. Recently where I am, there's been loads of people going, oh, I'm just going to start cooking up a load of stuff and whack it on Facebook, and people can get food for free. And there's a food bank that could really do with some volunteers. And it's like, well, actually, why don't you approach that food bank and maybe connect the dots? Like, there's a lot of duplication that's happening, perhaps because people don't know how the sector works, and they don't know, and maybe that's why they're not approaching trustee positions.
That is a really good point. Yeah, I agree. Even when I was looking to be a trustee, completely honest, I knew what it was, but also didn't really know what it was. Like, I felt like there was like this like air of mystery around it. And I think people are put off. It just seems like it's a bigger thing than it actually is.
Yeah.
And obviously understand it is a huge responsibility, but I just wish more people had the confidence to put themselves out there. But then at the same time, it's hard if you applied for 10 positions and you didn't hear back. Like, that is heart-wrenching. Like,
yeah, I mean, it took me 10 years to get the guts up to do it again,
Gutting. And I don't know, I think it's partly on organisations, so we just need to give them a little push to more outreach and be a bit more friendly.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference as well in the size of the organisation. So, I mean, I'm a trustee of a tiny charity, and I'm talking like sub £50,000 income. Like, we have a chief exec who does all the fundraising, delivers everything, and I will support as best I can with some stuff, but I can't be doing the digital job. So it's about, how do we, as trustees, support the paid staff to be able to do their jobs, especially in those tiny charities where essentially what I see as my important job is like, what, 1% of what they have to do. And it's like, that's the biggest challenge I found as a small charity trustee, is how do you push and suggest strategic moves without overwhelming.
That is interesting, because that is like, you don't want to get like too operational, and you still want to sort of keep that line there. And there's so much you want to do for them. I don't know how the exec does it.
I mean, like, I'm constantly like drafting emails and going, oh, I'll do this for you, and then I'm like, just leave it in draft. Think, like, can you? Because that's the biggest thing. Like, one of my kind of first mentors was very much the best advice I got from them was, if you say you're going to do something, do it, and do it in a timely way. And that's like the biggest thing for volunteering and for trustees. Don't ever take on more than you feel comfortable with. Before I was a trustee, I did a lot of community projects in Southwest London for a community-driven organisation called the Community Brain. And they're a CIC, but they also have some charities attached. And the rule there was, if you come up with an idea, you have to do it. So I spent like 10 years being like, oh, I've come up with this great idea, I'll do this, and just doing it because that's what. And then becoming a trustee, it's like, whoa, need to eke my way out of that one.
Take a step back. Yeah. I think I need to take it like that as like a bit of a motto, because sometimes I do take on a bit too much. And I've never done something I haven't been able to deliver, but especially being in the sector, being like really passionate, you just want to see the change, and you're like, I will be the change then. And then you find yourself drowning. As a trustee as well, there's so much I want to really get my hands into, even for a big organization. So like being a digital gal, I just love like working with the digital team and just talking to them, hearing what they're up to. And there's so much I want to just ask about or learn more about. Also very aware that they have got so much on their plate. Part of me was just like, oh, what can I help with? But then you can't do that. So it's really difficult. You feel like you're like almost like playing God, like you're just watching things and just you can't really do much.
I think that's probably the weirdest thing to be a young trustee, because like career trajectory hasn't got us to a point where we're setting the strategy and observing its delivery. And I suppose that's why it feels so weird, and why we have to kind of check ourselves a bit more when we're like, oh, I've got an idea, or I'll do that, and putting our hat in the ring, because actually it's a complete different twist of working. Like, it's about consulting and being supportive. And I suppose as two people who are freelance and work on a consultative way, it's kind of easier for us. But if you're someone who works full-time in an organization, delivering is maybe like a social media manager or something like that, they're delivering really great stuff, how do you then switch that mindset to be strategic and to kind of be that godlike figure? Although I don't really like that term, the kind of observer. But also be the observer that's
the bird of
yeah, like just kind of watching from afar, but also approachable as well, because that's the big one with trustees sometimes. It's like I remember when I've been in-house, it's like, oh my god, there's a board meeting, and you're just like terrified of these people that you don't meet. Is like an officer or a manager, you don't know who they are, you don't meet, you might have one come in occasionally, at which point you feel like the headmaster's walked into the room. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe because I was young, but I had a couple of days in the office at Crohn's and Colitis where so I was sitting on their panel helping them find an agency, and I was able to talk to loads of people, but loads of people came up to me. I'm quite shy. I'm not the kind of person that would walk over and say hi to someone, but if someone's talking to me, I can definitely hold a conversation. But yeah, loads of people came up to me and I was really surprised by that, because yeah, I've been in house and it's like, oh, you would never. But it was really nice actually. And I kept saying like, oh, thank you so much, because I would never have the guts to walk over to you, but like I really wanted to know more about their job. So I'd like to hope that as I get older, I can still be approachable, because no one wants to just like sort of walk through the office and not be able to talk to the staff and sort of have that rapport there.
Yeah, it's definitely about kind of developing that kind of support network for the organization that you're a trustee of. But there is this really, really delicate balance, especially like as a digital trustee. So like there's loads and loads of people, and there's been Zoe Amar's been pushing for digital trustees to be on boards, which is a great thing. But if you are the only person that has any digital nous, like it's really difficult to not get involved and get stuck into those conversations, isn't it? Yeah.
So amazing things as well, like pushing for that, which is so great. I'd love to see just more people fighting for to be a digital trustee, especially if those are young people. And I think charities need it now more than ever. Just with everything going on at the moment, lots of charities have had to like hate this sort of like, is it sink or swim?
Yeah.
Where they have to adapt. And I think it's almost a good thing, because it really does force you. It's not something that you can put off till next year, because you have to do it. But we're now in a position where some organisations just don't have that digital expertise. So being able to have more digital trustees would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Great little segue into lockdown and not really being able to see people face to face. How's your board managed that? Have they moved online quite easily, or has that been quite a transition for you? Well, maybe not you, but those that you're on the board with in the charity.
It seems like it's been easy. So traditionally the board is older, but we have the board meetings on Teams. They know how to use it. They've had Teams set up before, so it's been running quite smoothly. I know that I think they do miss having physical meetings, like it's been said, but I actually like having the virtual meetings. It's not something that I would want for every meeting, but if it was like maybe every other, just because for like my own personal challenge is to be more confident, and I go in with a load of questions and I either don't raise it soon enough so then someone else does, or just don't have the confidence to raise it. So when I'm on Teams, it's so easy to just like put your hand up, the virtual hand up,
Yeah.
and that someone will come around to me, and then I feel like I'm able to get my questions across, and I don't have to like fight to get or wave at someone to get their attention to say that I'd like to say something. So for me personally, it's really helped. I'm hoping now, if and when things go back to normal and we do have those face-to-face board meetings, I'll be able to have that same confidence and
Yeah.
do that. How have you found it?
Well, going into lockdown, I invested in a Zoom account. So I've been the deliverer of video meetings for the charity because no one had a Zoom account. So I've been hosting them on this, which is it's fine. Initially there was a few issues where one of the trustees only had a work laptop and work wasn't allowing Zoom because of the security issue. So I purchased my Zoom subscription and then all of the kind of Zoom bombs started. So I didn't I was like, oh, I've just paid 200 quid for this. What am I going to do? And I just had to stick with it and do all the steps to make it a bit more secure. But that was an issue because it had been deemed as unsecure by some workplaces. One of the trustees could access it but couldn't have their video on. So the first two meetings, it was like basically she dialed in and it was really weird. But the last meeting was definitely a lot more, it was kind of more better structured because we were kind of more used to kind of going around the agenda and everyone having it on the screen and things like that. And it felt like there was a bit more of a quorum that we could get to, whereas before that it was more like panic stations, and we don't really know how to do this or what. So I don't know whether that's just because we're all used to doing video calls now, or if because Philip, the chief exec's done an incredible job of continuing to deliver services in lockdown in prisons. Like, what the hell? How he's managed to work that out is absolutely incredible, and hands down, he's done an incredible job. So because of that, we kind of felt like we were in a better place as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think if it's like there's always going to be like issues at first, and then it just gets ironed out. So do you think you'll be continuing with virtual? Like when we do get back to face, do you think virtual will ever be an option occasionally?
Yeah, I think actually it would probably be because she's no longer a trustee, but she's our kind of justice consultant. So she's an ex-governor, so she's got that experience that is really necessary when you're a justice charity that's working in prisons. She lives kind of quite far down on the southeast coast. I live kind of between Dartford and Sevenoaks area, kind of, so still kind of southeast. But then there's a few people one of our other trustees is in between Scotland and London, so it's nicer to be able to kind of not have to have those meetings in London, and means that although actually the charity is predominantly a southeast charity, actually when people get let out of prison, sometimes we still have contact with them and they live up in the Midlands, so we're not enclosed to the southeast.
That's good. It would be like, again, like this is a way of just being a bit more inclusive and being able to sort of expand the reach. So
Yeah, definitely.
having trustee talent that's not refined to a certain localized area.
Yeah, that's really useful. But we're all definitely missing. So there's a tradition, there's a restaurant that we all traditionally go to after the trustee meeting that's generally in the chair's house, and it's really connected to the charity, because one of the founding trustees used to go there regularly, and when they had a cancer diagnosis and were living at home, the owner would take meals made in the kitchen to their house. So there's a real connection with this restaurant, so we do miss going there, and we haven't been there since February, so it'd be, hopefully they've been able to ride the wave as well.
It's such a cute story. Oh yeah, hopefully they're okay and you'll be able to go back. I'm very ready for things to go back to normal as well.
Exactly. Although I can't imagine getting on a train right now. I haven't done it for 7 months now.
Wow.
It's definitely not a change that I'm looking forward to.
No one likes the train.
No. But yeah, thank you for joining me and chatting about being trustees. I'll have to get you back on, because I think initially we were chatting about talking about your training sessions that you've been delivering, and stuff like that. So we'll book that in for another session.
So much to talk about.
I know, yeah, and there's so much going on across the sector, so there's definitely like loads of opportunity for us to reconnect and have this chat again, or well, different subject.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really nice.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. See you soon.
Okay, bye.